exploring lakes, rivers, and reservoirs across the country with an unyielding goal to enlighten viewers from a fisheye perspective. Come along and we'll investigate the habitat. Much more than a fishing show, this is an eye-opening aquatic experience. Welcome to Kim Stricker's Hook and Look. Secondary points. Those adjacent to spawning pockets are prime places for pre-spawn bass to congregate. A vibrating jig delivered with a steady retrieve, then suddenly popped off the vegetation, proves to be just the ticket for these staging largemouths. Hook and Look host and producer Kim Stricker jumps from point to point, validating this productive pattern. Then, in the heat of the day, points as he witnesses the commencement of the annual spawn. He'll share those observations from his Hook and Look point of view, ultimately pointing to the points where he makes a valid point.
That's more what we're looking for.
A familiar poetic verse states, "April showers bring May flowers." And in northern states, this occurrence coincides with the instinctive journey largemouth bass make towards the shallows. For springtime is a season of progression and renewed splendor. Yet here in the Mitten State, weather patterns have been unusually inconsistent, delaying this transition. So after first eliminating the backs of spawning pockets, Kim makes a move out towards the secondary points and employs a thunder cricket with a blade minnow trailer. The thunder cricket is an exceptional vibrating jig that proves particularly effective for bass during the pre-spawn period.
That's a start. That's a start. My thunder cricket. So they may be, see, that's a little point at the mouth of this deal. I can't believe that that little point didn't hold one. But it's a start. They come a lot bigger. Good deal. All right, let's do that again. Boy, I didn't even feel the bite. Things are behind quite a bit from all the cool, rainy weather we've had. There we go. Barely feel them. Not very big. It's about the same size as that last one. But a fish, but barely feeling them. That cold water. But yeah, they're healthy. But this is the deal. It's pre-spawn. It looks like they're staging just before these pockets and stuff before they spawn. But we'll see. We'll progress. They do get bigger. They do get bigger. I'll let you go right back where you came from. What I do is I reel along when I catch a weed, so I pop off it and keep it turning. When I start to lose it, I slow up a little bit and then I'll pop another weed, pop off it. And one's supposed to bite it. And will, eventually. There's one right there. Pretty much the same size. Coming in. Yeah, this one's a little smaller. But he's a fish. He's a fish. It didn't take long to figure out that the secondary points were the deal. I confirmed that the smaller males were staging there outside the spawning pockets. However, as of yet, I hadn't caught a larger female, but I was confident that the thunder cricket was the lure to do so. There it is. That's a nice fish. That's a better fish. Yeah, oh yeah. That's a nice fish. Where you been? Oh man. Get my net. Come on over here. Oh, and the bait come out of his mouth. Now that's more of what we're looking for. But again, they're on these little secondary points, you know, before a little pocket. We're not really catching them in the pockets yet, but that's more like it. Let's do it. Keep it up.
Stick around. We'll jump to another point when Hook and Look returns. Hook and Look is brought to you by Strike King Lure Company, #1 in fishing lures. Lose, feel the difference. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. Seagar, trust Seagar when everything is on the line. And by AquaView, reinventing underwater cameras.
Nice point here that comes out. These are sandy points, and there's weeds encircling them, scattered, sparse. It's still early. They're not really growing like crazy, but that seems to be what the fish have been holding. Let's try it again. There's fish. That was a fish. It's the same thing. I don't know if he had the tail or... There he is. Ah, he got it that time. Right on those little points. Same deal. I can fish the banks all day long and I'm not getting a bite, not seeing a fish. I get around those points. He hit it pretty good. The second time. Equally as important as targeting the secondary points is the precise way I'm presenting the thunder cricket. And perhaps you've noticed that most of the strikes I've provoked have come after popping the lure off the vegetation. Fish number 1 came when I bumped a weed and he bit as I popped it off. With fish number 2, I simply reeled faster to pull the lure out of the grass, and as I let the cricket fall back, he nailed it. Fish number 3 came in the same fashion. I popped the lure off the grass and he hit it as I was reeling up the slack line. That sudden, fitful burst of energy triggers lethargic fish into striking. Pay attention, that pattern will continue. I might throw back at that point in case that wasn't the same fish. See if there's another one on this point. Come on. Vibrating so nice and it pops the weeds and then pop it off. Right there. Right there. There's more than one fish on this point. There's a little better fish. See? Glad I turned around. That's a little nicer fish. Yeah. That's a little nicer fish. Yes, sir. A little nicer. A little nicer, but he gobbled the old thunder cricket. Thunder cricket. Secondary points. That's the deal.
Taking into consideration that the core of any angling presentation consists of several components, today's Seagar system begins with a Strike King Thunder Cricket with a blade minnow trailer. When ripping the lure out of the weeds, especially on this particular body of water, Kim depends on the abrasion resistance of 20-pound test Seagar Tatsu fluorocarbon line. Much of the aquatic vegetation here have several snails attached to leaves and stems, which can easily wear on an inferior fishing line. Topping off the muscle and backbone is a 7.3 medium-heavy action Lew's Custom Pro Series speed stick, paired with a Team Lew's Hypermag speed spool. Up next, a fascinating look at the spawning ritual. Stay tuned.
I can't believe how time has flown when considering it's been nearly 40 years since I bought my first Ranger boat. Throughout the duration of my fishing career, I've had the opportunity to run several Ranger models and have witnessed countless innovations and enhancements year after year. From industry-leading performance to angler-friendly amenities, Ranger has continued to set the bar others pursue. Currently, I'm appreciating the evolution of the Z520L Comanche. With the development of larger electronics, Ranger has redesigned the console to accommodate up to 16-inch screens. Likewise, the bow will now accommodate up to 12-inch screens. To keep up with technological times, both the driver and the passenger console have USB ports and a 12-volt receptacle. Ranger has always been superior when it comes to tackle storage. You'll notice that all the compartments are now carpetless and have rubber mats. This enhances the effectiveness of the patented power ventilation system, which circulates air throughout the compartments to dry your tackle quickly. The list of innovations go on and on, but for now, I'm going to sit down in the Ultra Comfort bucket seat, hammer down, and let my Evinrude E-Tech G2 take me for a ride.
Welcome back to Hook and Look. Kim has been targeting pre-spawn largemouth bass that have been staging on secondary points. In the process, as the day progressed and the afternoon sun has warmed the shallows, he discovers a pair of bass initiating the annual spawn.
Spawners right there. A pair of them right there. Good ones too. It appeared the spawn was just beginning, but to my surprise, this pair was positioned on a nest that was not back in a protected pocket. On the contrary, they were spawning aside a submerged stump that was along the secondary point at the mouth of a pocket, just like the areas I'd been fishing. So in an effort to learn more, I decided to plant a stationary underwater camera next to the bed, backed off and secured my power poles, then just sat back, observed, and let the camera capture the ritual.
It's simply fascinating to understand the factors relating to the propagation of largemouth bass. And what better way to observe and analyze this event than from a hook and look perspective? In the spring, when the water temperature approaches the low 60s, largemouth bass spawning activities can be expected to commence. However, this year, inconsistent weather patterns have delayed the event by the calendar. On an average, spawning sites can be found, ideally, on a sand or gravel bottom between a depth of 3 to 5 feet. The male prepares a circular-shaped bed by fanning away the sediment, exposing a cleaner substrate. Eventually, and often in an assertive manner, he'll corral a ripe female and steer her to the nest. Noticeably, the female is the larger of the two and has taken on a brighter, more silvery hue, displaying its dark mottling vividly. Once on the nest, the pair will lie side by side and tilt laterally, so their vents are close together. You'll notice how the female shudders as she attempts to release some eggs, which the male will fertilize simultaneously. The male can then be observed fanning the bed between shuddering episodes. Perhaps this action is to mix the eggs and milt more thoroughly. Again, the male will circle his mate, get in position, and the shuddering is then repeated. This ritual will continue for hours until the spawn is completed. During this act, both male and female seem oblivious to lures, focused only on the task at hand. Yet when approached too closely, the female is typically alarmed first, followed soon thereafter by the male.
I hope you found that footage interesting, and perhaps you learned a thing or two from it. But honestly, after discovering that pair in the heat of the afternoon, I was beginning to think the spawn was really getting ready to bust loose. Then the unreliable Michigan weather once again made a shift. Day 2 was overcast, cooler, and just like the previous weeks, rain was back in the forecast. Well, just like I said, this is day number 2. The weather's been so inconsistent. Yesterday we had 25-mile-an-hour gusts out of the west, windy, it was clearing, and now today it's threatening rain again. At least the winds died down some, but I'm hoping that point pattern that I've been doing holds up. It may be a little cooler, but it feels more bashish to me today. The overcast, but there we go. It's right on top of it. Textbook stuff. Right on top of the point it was. Look at that. Come on over here. Look at that. Get over here. There we go. Right where he was supposed to be. Good way to start the morning. Pattern's holding up. Thunder cricket's holding up. A big part of this thunder cricket is the blade minnow trailer, and we'll talk about that in more detail.
Be sure to follow Hook and Look on Facebook and Instagram. We'll be right back. This portion of Hook and Look is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Evinrude, the only outboard that lets you have it all. The original Wacky Tool, your soft bait's best mate. Trick Step, because getting in and out of your trailered boat should be easy. And by Indian River, Michigan Tourist Bureau. Pure waters, pure trails, pure north.
The trailer that I'm using, like I mentioned, is Strike King's Blade Minnow. And this is KVD Magic color. It kind of has a bluegill color to it. And the Thunder Cricket has a thin stainless steel blade that this bait vibrates so well in a strong owner hook and a good keeper that will keep this trailer snug all the while you're ripping it off of the weeds and everything. So I'm just threading it up there, and you make sure when you bring it through that you bring it through the center just like that. Make it happen, Kim. I'm loving this Thunder Cricket, I'll tell you that. There's a lot of trailers you can use with this Thunder Cricket, but in my opinion, there's nothing better than that Blade Minnow. The action is just phenomenal and so lifelike. In slow motion, you can really visualize the lifelike action of the Blade Minnow. With every hard pulsing kick of the Thunder Cricket's blade, the jig tilts side to side, causing the Blade Minnow trailer to serpentine naturally, much like a baitfish. It's this innovative vibration and realistic movement that makes this combination so incredibly effective. Now would be a good time for me to point out the transparency of Seaguar fluorocarbon line as well. There we go, right there. Ooh, it's pretty much a clone of the last one. But still, this is the deal. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Come here, I'm gonna whip you in. That's a little better than the last one. I've got 20-pound Tatsu fluorocarbon, so I got no problem wigging them in. First 2 points this morning, boom, boom. It might be a little better day today. I like it, I like it, I like it. But we've proven that when you have a productive point, you want to revisit it because it's replenished for us. There we go, there's another one. There's another one. They're on this point here. Yes. I love it when things come together. Oh, yeah. I love it when things come together. Things did come together, and they do again on our next episode when I target bedding red ear sunfish, aka shell crackers. These stocky panfish are willing to gobble a crappie tube and are absolutely fascinating to observe underwater. It's a red ear roundup next week on Hook and Look.
Hook and Look is a Kim Stricker production.